coming out here after 30 years, yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love. Bam, 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 bam. I appreciate the support. We out here, man. 33 years of prison stories. We rolling, we getting in the mix, Oh, a lot of y'all was saying the other day about the video poster. You seen it before. Those are the real TBP fans. Sometimes, you know, when I'm doing a lot of things and trying to get some other material done on other channels, you know, I might put a repost, but it will be an old repost, something that I played a minute ago. Right now, we pulling up on 800 videos, so it's a lot of videos, and if y'all ain't been here for 800 videos, it may be some, you know, what I call classics that y'all may not have seen, so there may be a repost from time to time, depending on what's going on. But for the most part, I try to get y'all something every day, man. I try to feed y'all this positive energy every day, man, that it may enlighten somebody and help somebody and make somebody understand what the life is like on the other side, man. And that's the whole goal, because we want to make them see what it's like over there so they can be sure, be positive, be 100% that they don't want no parts of it. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So, with that being said, man, this video right here, I was just talking to somebody recently that I hadn't talked to for a while, but they had been out, you know, I think even before me, and it just made me think about all the dudes I met in the penitentiary, man, the hustlers, the shakers, the movers, the makers, the ones that was getting that money. Even in penitentiary, they was getting that money, you know, and I talked to one of them recently, man, and they out here doing good, got their own business, getting money, and I mean, getting real money, man. Even made the statement to me. I said, man, yeah, you had all that money in the penitentiary, man. You was one of the first ones I seen with all that money in the penitentiary. He said, I got more now. You know what I'm saying? And that would be Zach Ali. So shout out to Zach Ali, man. Zach Ali did over 40 years in prison. And his name is Zach Ali because he's a Muslim. But Zach Ali just had man, ever since I known him, you know, and I met him first time, or was around him the first time, in the wall in like 87. So you talking about man, his name was just already there because he had been there years and years before. But you talking about like a bloodhound, man. He smelled the money. You know what I'm saying? He smelled the money, man. And I definitely would have to say, far as prison in, you know, my 33 years, excuse me, Zach would probably be one of the penitentiary richest dudes I seen, man. When I say penitentiary rich, you know, of course out here in the real world, it's a different type of rich. But if you're talking about in the penitentiary, you're talking about people who generating thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per week. I mean, even out here on the street, I would consider that, you know, kind of like, you know, hood rich or street rich. And this is what these cats was doing, man. I mean, getting money hand over fist. And I remember Zach, you know, in the rumors and in the words and the stuff that was passing around about Zach, man. And Zach used to have so much money that he actually used to be loaning the COs money, you know, until they got their check. Yeah, that's how much money that, you know, Zach supposed to have in prison, man. And yeah, he was a getter, and he was a humble dude. But I believe, you know, without a doubt, I've never seen him get to the other side where he was unhumble and had to be, you know, malicious or vicious. But in prison, you know, that goes with the game. You know, you're not going to be able to get no money in prison if you're not willing to protect that money, because you around vultures and wolves and they going to come and get that money. You know, so I never heard of anybody taking anything from Zach. Never heard of it, you know. So obviously he was his reputation preceded him, and you know, he was in prison, I do know, for, you know, a homicide. You know, big homicide, big case. This is why he ended up doing, 40 plus years. But man, he was one of the first dudes I seen. I mean, Zach had literally in prison. Zach had shoebox money. I'm talking about a shoebox that you could open up and it's full with money, man. $20,000-$30,000 cash. So in prison, man, that's almost the equivalent in prison to $100,000, $1 million. If you got that type of money in prison, man, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money because you got to do the math to it. The money alone in prison is almost double what it's worth. If you got a $10 bill, it's worth 20. You got a 5, it's worth 10, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes even more. Sometimes even double and a half because people need the cash. They want the cash to be able to maneuver, to be able to make deals, to be able to get a police to do something that they wouldn't do. What we call it in prison is to break the law, break their code. Bring this in. I ain't bringing nothing in. I'm not gonna lose my job. Well, man, I'm gonna give you such. You gonna give me what? And they take that chance because they making more money doing that than they are on their actual job. You know what I'm saying? So when you got that cash money in prison, man, you can make a whole lot of things happen. And this is what we knew that Zach had floating around the penitentiary. God knows what he had on his account. God knows what he had in a bank account. Only he knows that. But what is known is that he was a money getting son of a gun. I can tell you that. He ain't never want for nothing in prison. And then even when I ran into him decades later, he was still getting money, but just in a different way. He was innovative. He was creative. You know what I'm saying? They had some dudes in there that came. It was a lot of dudes that was in there at one point in time. They was buying little penny candy. I spoke about this before. They was buying little penny candy, little bags of candy that you could get out of the commissary for like 90 cents. And it might have like, I don't know, 15, 16 pieces of candy or something in it. They would take that candy and bring it back to the pod and buy bags and bags of them, however many the limit of it that you can get. And they would mix them all up and melt them down into liquid and then put buy Q-tips and cut the edges off so it just be a stick. And then they would take and get little medicine cups and they would put the liquid that they have melted down from the candy in the medicine cup. And they would stick the Q-tip thing in there, and then they would put ice on it and let it get hard and break it open, and then they would have a sucker because you couldn't get suckers in prison besides all the suckers that was around you. And those are the only suckers that you could actually get. But they would do that, man, and then rewrap it and bag it up and sell them, man, for one of them little suckers might go 50 cents or $1 when you only paid 90 cents for the bag. So this is entrepreneurship, man, and these dudes was making money hand over fist for whatever reason, psychological or whatever. Dudes felt like that, just to have a sucker or look like you got a sucker or what it actually was a sucker, to have that was just a status because we couldn't have suckers. You know what I'm saying? But when in actuality, you could go buy the candy yourself for cheaper than the one sucker and make your own. But it's just, I don't know what it was, but they were major sellers in prison, man. And dudes used to take and they just got innovative and creative with that. They started getting different types of candy, mixing them all up, making swirls, making thicker suckers or different shaped suckers, all types of, and it was getting money. But Zach Ali started that. Zach Ali started that in the 90s, man. And he was doing it and he was selling them suckers all over Greensville, man. It's a 3-in-1 institution. Zach had suckers on every institution, man. He would have them and he would have them professionally made. He might have 5 suckers and he would have them wrapped back up, looking like they came out of a store, have them back in the bag, and the bag sealed as if you buying a bag of suckers, man. And Zach was selling them Jones for like $6 a bag or something like that. And dudes was buying them, man, hand over fist. It wasn't nothing to go out on the yard or be walking somewhere and see somebody with a sucker. And then the administration is, you know, walking around, or the police seeing like, they sell suckers in the commissary now? You know, and you got them and they look like they came out the bag and they was not the wiser. And Zoc just eating up money, man. It was innovative. It was great. And then you have, like you have everywhere else in the world, then you have copycats, and then dudes start copying them. And then next thing you know, as time went on and you moved up, you know, years and years away from the, you know, being around Zoc, you get on this camp or you get on that camp, dudes is making suckers and selling suckers. But Zoc Ali was the one who actually came up with that idea to make money, because he was just, you know, an entrepreneur. Like I say, wherever he at, he's gonna get some money. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere you put him, I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, Zoc is gonna get some money. You know, and yeah, he definitely was one of the big money getters that I met in prison, man. And another one was Johnny Nelson. Old Johnny Nelson, man. Johnny Nelson is a unique character, man. I spoke about Johnny before in previous videos, I think on Greensville video, because Johnny Nelson, his name is legendary in the Virginia penal system. A little short dude, man, a throwback, man, looked like somebody from one of them 1970s. He'll put you in the frame of mind for real. He'll put you in the frame of mind of a shorter, more stockier James Evans from Good Times. Yes, yup, Johnny Nelson will put you in the frame of mind. He was a big dude. He was on the weightlifting team, and you know, he definitely was a throwback, man. He was a throwback, but he was a genius. They said his IQ was genius status. You know what I'm saying? He was the dude that played chess a lot. When he played chess, he was the one I told y'all he'll play 4-5 people at one time and bet if any one person win, then he would pay everybody. He had to beat all 5 for, you know, him to win. If he lose one game with any one of them, then they all win. You know what I'm saying? So he used to do things like that. He was real smart. He was the dude that I told y'all before on Mecklenburg, man. I say he was the only dude, or one of the only dudes that I had seen at that time. He had mortal locks, man. Mortal locks. And what I mean by mortal locks, like everything on the compound that was getting some type of money, he had his hands in it. He had his hands in it, man, and he had no vices. He didn't do drugs. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't smoke cigarettes. He didn't do nothing. All he did was get money. If dudes went outside to gamble, he would sponsor the gambling game, or he would send dudes out there to run a gambling game, to run a spade game, to run a tonk game, to run a poker game, to run a skin game. He run a parlay for him. Baseball parlay, basketball parlay, car race parlay, you know, anything that had something, he would sponsor it because he was going to get the money for it, and he would just give somebody else the assignment of running it. They would just be the face behind it, but he was the money behind it. He had a store box. He worked in the kitchen. He ran the kitchen. He could get you hired or fired. He had more power than the actual kitchen supervisor that comes in here for a job. Johnny Nelson had more power than all of them. And yeah, man, he was getting it, man. I mean, he was getting it. It was coming into him every kind of way. All day long, he exchanging money. All day long, he exchanging money. This is the same dude I told you, man, that was actually messing with a female on the compound, and her husband was actually on the compound as well. And she ended up, you know, quitting her job, because Johnny said, I can give you the same thing you make on your job, you know what I'm saying, per week or every 2 weeks. And she ended up quitting her job and then actually coming to see Johnny. You know what I'm saying? And that just was crazy. It was an awkward situation. But Johnny Nelson was known to get that money, man. Little short, stocky built dude with a long goatee. This before you could cut your hair. And this is a black guy. And he had that old goatee, but it was long all the way down here. And he be grabbing it, and he walking around all stocky and everything. And he was known to be dangerous because, you know, before I even met him, they say he actually, you know, had a body on the inside of the system. He actually did over 20-some years and went home and ended up coming back in less than a couple of years. You know, which boggled my mind is how can somebody be so smart, so, you know, focused and run things, you know, like a Fortune 500 company inside of prison, and then get out of prison and can't function to where you getting locked back up. And I heard I don't know for sure, but he got locked back up for bank robbery. You know what I'm saying? Trying to, take over, knock off a bank. But in prison, man, the man was just, I mean, if it had anything to do with numbers or money or a way he knew it. He knew it. And then I told you that I ran back into him when he had came back. Then everybody was saying he was on some other stuff. He was on some, some police stuff, some hopping Bob working with the administration. Because, I get in the building, he got his own office. I never heard of that before. Inmate got his own office. He doing more work than the actual supervisors in the block is doing. They confirming with him whether to do this or do that. They asking him. I seen it with my own eyes. You know what I'm saying? And he actually got an office up here where the counselors got an office and got a key. So I don't know. And everybody say he playing con to the people to get out of prison, and he got to think his way out because they not gonna let him back out because he was in and he had a body and he did 20-something. He was lucky enough to get out, and then he back in. The chances of him ever getting out again was slim to none. So this is his new angle, and I mean it was just all kinds of theories because this wasn't the Johnny that everybody knew. The Johnny that everybody knew ain't play no games, and he was a serious dude, and he was a money getter, and if you play with his money, you was in jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? But this was the new Johnny, but I don't know. But I heard tell he getting ready to get out or either he done got out again. This is what I heard. I can't confirm or deny, but I can confirm that in my 33 years, he was one of the money getting his prison dudes that I ever ran across. I mean, he flat out get it. Yeah, he flat out get that money, man. He get that money. But, like I say, a lot of times that time and your circumstances and what you facing, the reality of it will it'll weigh down on a dude, and, they'll get outside their character because up until then, Johnny Nelson's character was not even in question. He was known to be, like I say, a dangerous dude and a money getter, and he had very little tolerance for some tomfoolery and some flammery, but it is what it is. But nobody can deny about like I said, his money getting ability in prison. Nobody that actually been around him. He was far from broken. You would never see him wanting or needing anything from anybody in prison. Another dude that I later on in the years, this dude comes to mind too, and shout out to his daughter who was is a part of TBP. I appreciate the love, but let me know that was her father, man. This dude named Frank Clark. Frank Clark, man, tall, dark-skinned brother, man. But I heard about Frank before I ever even got around him. You know what I'm saying? And they said Frank was a money getter on the street, and I can assure you he was a money getter in prison. Yeah, Frank had it. I remember when I first heard about Frank, I was in a whole nother block, meaning, well, not a whole nother block, on a whole other side on Greensville. It's like 3 prisons in one. I was in a whole nother unit, and I used to hear his name because he had money even circulating over in my unit. And he wasn't even in the unit. You know what I'm saying? This how much money Frank was getting. He wasn't even in the unit. He had money circulating in other units. You know what I'm saying? He definitely was a go-getter, man. They say he was, that big dude on the street. And in prison, it was the same, man. Frank had money coming in every kind of way you could think of, man. He loved to gamble, but he was a different type of gambler because a lot of times dudes gamble in prison because, a lot of it is they want to, fill up the time, fill up the space. But also, too, you definitely want to win because you can't afford to be losing in prison like that because, like I say, you need everything you got. So a lot of times the dudes that's into the gambling, they hardcore into the gambling like I was. They don't want to lose and they don't want to get up and they want to stay there and they want to gamble all day. Excuse me. And if they lose, they going to try to stay there until they can get that money back. You know what I'm saying? Even if it takes all day, every count, when the count is over, dude down there gambling. And if he down, he going to be there all day. Ain't going to get up in the morning and be there again. He chasing that money, trying to get that money back. Frank had so much money, man. He was one of the first dudes that I used to see do this, man. And I'm talking about, this is in the 90s. Man, Frank used to get in, come in there, man. He might walk in, and dudes who always want the big money, man, to get in the poker game, a gambling game, dice game, or something. Because that's where the money is. Everybody's always chasing the money. So Frank, I remember I ended up being in the block with Frank. And I was in the block with him briefly, maybe about a year and something. And I can remember when I was in there the first time that I seen him gamble. He was coming in the block, and we was all at the poker table, and we was playing. And you know, in prison when you play, you know, gambling games or poker, now you got to have that money up front for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And you can rest assured, if everybody playing on somebody running that game, then you dealing with some people that's already willing to, you know, pick that Bethlehem up if that money ain't straight. That's just a given. You got to already know that, because it ain't nobody gonna just let you take no money. And if they running a poker game or they running an establishment, you should already assume that they willing to do whatever they got to do to get that money. You know, if you don't assume that, then you're a fool and you're putting yourself in danger. You're putting yourself in jeopardy. So with that being understood, you know, some dudes can come to the and just ask for money and ask for, all right, let me get this. All right, let me get that. We call it order. They can order all the money they want, because of count time or when the game stop, you got to go get that money. You got to produce that money that you order. You understand? And if you don't, it's a good chance somebody gonna produce that violence on you. You know what I'm saying? So that's understood when you do it. But you got dudes that play them type of games. They take them chances because they feel like, I can go down, and I can win by the time it's count time, or I can win by the time the game is over. They play Russian roulette with their life like that. And I've seen a lot of dudes get late just like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I can remember Frank walking in one day, and dudes, Frank, man, Frank want to play, man. Frank want to play. So they called him over there to play. Frank just a smooth old cat, man. I might play a little later or something. So dude like, man, come on, man, get in the game, man. We need one more player, whatever. Man, Frank U-turned so smooth, came over there, so I play a little bit. And he sat down at the table, man, and, you know, we in prison. Dudes might get, you know, $50, $75, $100, $30, something to play poker. You know, starting trying to win something. Man, Frank come sit down, man. He said, what you want? House man, he said, what you want? Frank said, give me 300. He said, give me 300. And I'm not joking, man. And that man said that the man ain't even hesitate to give it to him because he know he got it. He give that man $300, right? That man played one hand, and he played, he folded. The second hand that came up, he bet. He bet $40. Dude called it bet. You know, cards dealt. Next, boom, he dropped 100 on it. Dude called 100. Frank go all in. He put all the money in. So dude had to call. Dude called it, John, and won the hand, right? Frank done lost $300 in less than 10 minutes. And he said, all right, that's good enough for me. I ain't got no luck today. And got up and walked away. Man, if anybody else would have lost $300 in 10 minutes, man, they be there all day, all night, and waking up tomorrow trying to get that money back. It just ain't mean nothing to him because he had it like that. It ain't mean nothing to him. He had it like that. He just got up, casual, like it won't nothing. Next thing you know, 10 minutes later, you see Frank walking downstairs with a coffee cup going to fix him a cup of coffee, man. He ain't even stunned that money, man. That's play money to him. And anybody in the penitentiary got $300 is just play money. They got some money, man. You know what I'm saying? And I had no idea how much money Frank actually was getting. You know what I'm saying? I knew he was getting money because you had a lot of females on there too that was like, well, not a lot. You had a few that was like the chosen ones, the dudes looked at and said, oh man, you know, she was a looker. You know, probably for the streets, but definitely a big looker for the penitentiary, meaning she was nice, had a nice body, look all right. Working in a prison. Everybody used to try to holler at her. Everybody. She won't get up. No play, no nothing. Frank had her. Frank had her. Yeah, Frank was a player too. Frank had her. And I remember her, man, dude. I started hearing the little whispers. I said, man, oh, she always want to get smart. She ain't going to get nobody no play. You like, man, Frank got hurt, man. You know what I'm saying? And then once I had heard the whistles, and then I started, being more attuned to what was going on, and I could see it. I could see it. She'd come in, and she was always nonchalant, standoff. She'd be right up there at Frank door, talking to Frank for 20, 30 minutes at a time, ignoring the radio and everything. Frank had her, because Frank had that paper, and Frank was smooth. You understand? Frank had that paper, and Frank was smooth, man. Dark-skinned brother, but, man, he get that dough. But like I said, I had no idea how much money that he was really getting, but I knew he was getting a lot. But I got a general idea when all of a sudden one time they come in with the little sweep with the little dudes that done drop the little notes and snitch notes and, dropping down they old dudes' money. They trying to get rid of you. They write you up and send little notes telling you you're doing this, you're doing this. So the people pull a raid and they come in and they go to certain cells. Mine's is one of them. They told the people store boxing, racketeering, gambling, doing all this foolishness, flammery and skullduggery, which I was half and half, or it was true, you know what I'm saying? And they went to me, Frank, and another dude. Me and Frank get locked up, right? So on Greensville this time, you get locked up, you go to a whole nother unit. They got to pack up all your stuff, woo, woo. And unlike most places, you get locked up, they pack up all your stuff, they send it to property, and then they separate, whatever, and let you have what you could have in segregation and put the rest in there. On Greensville, they take you to lock up in D unit, which is a whole building within itself, and they take you over there and they put you in the cell, and then they wait till they get all your property and stuff packed up, and they bring all the property over there, and they bring you in this big room, and they cuff you up, and they had 2 officers go through all your property right in front of you, separate what you could take to seg, and separate what's going in your property. So I'm over there when they done called me now out my cell to go up here to go through my property. And already the people say I'm store boxing, I'm racketeering, I'm, loan sharking and all this. I got over 80 cartons of cigarettes in my property, that's money. At the time, that cigarettes probably about $14, $15 a carton. I got over 80-something cartons of cigarettes. So they in all about this. Hey, man, what you doing with all this cigarettes? Undetermined amount of food and cosmetics and stuff. Man, we're going to be all day with this property. But they don't really care because they using this and they ain't got to go work on the block or nothing because they taking their time to go through all this property. But they tell me, man, you got to be over there doing something. You got all these cigarettes, man. You might well be guilty. So they doing this and going through all this, and then they done brought Frank over there, and then they done put Frank in the other room right behind me. So I'm in this side and Frank in this side, and they going through his property. Man, the dude come around that joint and come over to us, and he say, man, look at all these cigarettes we got to go through, man. We got to count each one of these cigarettes, man. You know what I'm saying? And he said, man, what you got? He said, man, it's about 80-something cartons of cigarettes. Dude said, oh, yeah, that's all you got? He said, that's all. He said, yeah, I got the dude over there. He was talking about Frank. He said he got over 370 cartons of cigarettes alone. He said we had to bring 4 boxes just with his cigarettes in it. These the big boxes they packed and stuff. I say, what? What? Frank had over 370-something cartons of cigarettes. So I ain't no mathematician, but y'all do the math. That alone was an undetermined amount of money right there for just to be in prison. And that was just his cigarettes. You understand me? Man, Frank had all types of stuff in that cell, man. And yeah, we got locked up together. But I never forget that when we got locked up together, they said that man had over 370-something cartons of cigarettes, man. So when he lost that $300, that's why it ain't mean nothing to him. That's just like a kick in the bucket. He probably went upstairs and paid the man his cigarettes as soon as the game was over. Here you go. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's it. It's over. It ain't nothing. It's just a drop in the bucket to him. But, man, that's what I'm saying about these dudes in prison, man. These was money getters in prison, man. These dudes got money. They gonna find their way to the money no matter what. They, I can't understand why some of them can't get out and transfer that, entrepreneurship, that hustle legally, because it's like they run things in prison so smooth, man. So smooth, you know what I'm saying? But all of them that I aforementioned, they gonna put that work in on you too if you play with that money. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's the temperament in dealing with the outside world and business because they can't handle it the same way they would handle it in prison. I'm not sure. But Zach Ali has transferred, to the best of my knowledge. You know, R.I.P. Frank, I just found out that he had passed away. I know his daughter told me. Johnny Nelson, like I say, is undecided what's going on with him. I heard he is getting out again, or have got out again. I don't know. But I know he got out the first time and he came right back. But these are dudes, man, that are real live entrepreneurs in prison. Yeah, entrepreneurs, hustlers, money getters, whatever you want to call them. These cats got that money in prison, man. And when you got that money, you can make things happen. And these dudes made things happen because, you know, like I say, we in prison, man. These COs, they can come in there with all of their rules and regulations and act stern and act hard. But when you start talking that paper talk, man. And them dudes made things happen, man. Every time I was around any one of them, they always had something going on that generated that money. You know, and it's a lot of dudes like that, but those are the first three to come to the top of my head because of, you know, what transpired recently. You know, me talking to Zach and then me, you know, corresponding with Frank's daughter. So, yeah, man, but these dudes, they got that paper, man. And, you know, I can give you probably videos on each one of them. And, you know, y'all let me know in the comments, man. Or even other people that I knew that got money. They had different ways. You had killers that got that money because they was killers, you know, and they gonna bully that money. So it's a lot of different money getters that I met in prison, man. But when you talking about getting it, yeah, these dudes was getting it, you know. So y'all talk to me in the comments, man. Y'all know I talk back. Let me know. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the time that you take out to watch these videos, man. Please take time to share these videos. Please take time to make a comment, talk to me. I talk back. And, you know, take time to subscribe if you ain't, man. We on the road to 100K, man. We trying to get there. And we trying to put that plaque on the wall back there and move on to bigger and better things, man, and spread this positive energy all over, man, and save some of these young kings and queens from going to prison. So, peace to everybody out there who on TBP, man. Peace to everybody who rock with me, man. Salute to y'all. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions, man, and duck them hooks. Boom, 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 boom. They out there, man, but them dudes out there getting money, too. Boom.
The banky special. Yeah. Pure deliciousness. Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's a name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.